All right, guys. I'm just live here today with James Topp, joined again, and looking forward to having a good conversation and interview with James. How you doing today, James?
Yeah, not too bad. It's warm, but it's a bit overcast. Actually, kind of a relief from having the sun beating down on you since as that's what we experienced yesterday. So I mean, clear clear roadway, nice wide shoulder. This is what I look to. This is what I look forward to now.
How are you guys finding the support on the street with cars and trucks and what have you passing by?
Oh yeah, it's phenomenal. Like I mean, I think probably today we've had at least I don't know. They we did a shift change at lunchtime, but there's probably been at least 10, 12 people who have either stopped by when we were having lunch or they pulled over to jump out and offer their support and express their encouragement. And you know, it's actually gone up quite a bit as we've gotten into New Brunswick. I think it's just the nature of the highway allows for people to pull over and say hi. There's a couple of times when we were in places where it's a little bit harder to pull over, but the support on the ground is good. It's a complete opposite of what we're seeing online. We have meet and greet arranged for Drummond tomorrow, Drummond, New Brunswick. Um, and typically there's a good turnout there. You know, a couple hundred people there to hear what we have to say. So you know, despite the media blackout, there's still people coming out, still
Yeah,
people aware of what we're doing.
good. And on the topic of what you're doing exactly, James, I do have some first time viewers here in the audience. Can you kind of give us just a quick rundown of what happened and where this started and where you started this journey as compared to where we're at today?
Yeah, absolutely. So this all started, like where it really started personally was in November when I was placed on leave without pay from public service position that I was to remain um, a non-participant in the rollout of this experimental product called the vaccine that we were being told that we had to take to get employed, or to remain employed, sorry. The, um, the issue of it for me was not so much the product itself, it was the heavy-handed nature of the way the policy was being applied, just kind of one size fits all, do it or else. And I had a significant problem with that. Because I was also employed by the Department of National Defense in the Canadian Armed Forces as a reservist, that policy also applied to the armed forces. And I had transferred from the regular army to the reserves in 2019, and I was told that because I was not had not revealed my vaccination status or was not going to get vaccinated, I would be administratively released on release item code 5F, which means unsuitable for further service. And after 28 years in the armed forces, my adult life basically, um, I felt it was a insult, and I was severely affected by it negatively. And after a couple of months, I realized I wasn't the only one, and I saw these protests happening in January with the Freedom Convoy, and I finally felt that there was a number of other people who felt the same way, and they were speaking out and pushing back on it. And then we know what happened after that. A heavy-handed, again, government response to break up that protest. I saw it coming, and I felt, during what was happening in Ottawa, I felt like I wanted to participate in as well. I was living in Hope, BC at the time, but obviously, with the protests well underway, and it appeared that they would be forcefully dispersed, it came to me that I would need to participate in remotely, so to speak, and initiate a protest of my own, and that's what I did. In February, I marched from Vancouver to Ottawa and protest against these mandates to speak out for those people like myself who had lost their jobs and to speak on behalf of those people who had been coerced into taking this product because they needed to keep a paycheck. So that happened in June 22nd. We asked for, leading up to that, we asked for an audience with members of parliament to kind of talk about these issues, to bring a solution to the table. Sorry?
No, I hear you, James. I got you.
Yep. So we had on the, leading up to our march going into Ottawa, we had been in contact with members of parliament to ask for a meeting to tell them what we needed to see and hear, and basically it had to do with speaking of the armed forces. So basically what it had to do with was our participation. Yeah, don't wave. You'll compromise them. So we sorry, we got a little bit off track.
That's okay.
We reached out to our members of parliament to ask for a meeting so that we could bring to the table the issues, to talk about why this was an issue, what I was doing, and why, and really to bring a solution. And the solution, what we were calling it, was the 3 R's. So the 3 R's basically stands for repeal mandates, reinstate workers, and grant restitution for wages lost. Some kind of acknowledgement of the damage done. Compensation for those who had been removed from service at a time and place in their careers when, they needed to have that time in that office to advance. We have in the situation of the armed forces, for example, a severe loss of faith in the chain of command, lack of trust in the chain of command. In the country as a whole, we see this divide that we've never seen before, and this needs to be repaired. So what we were saying is 3 R's equals R. You're going to have, or you're going to begin some type of repair if we can start applying this equation. And then furthermore, because of what is happening in the world and in this country with regards to the economy, we need a repair. We need complete removal of these mandates so that we can build a robust economy for what's coming. As we know, fuel prices are increasing, food prices are increasing. People need the opportunity to work, and this is what it's about. So that happened on June 22nd. I was at least able to talk to members of parliament, and why it's important is because the members of parliament who chose to speak with me listened to what their constituents were asking of them. We reached out to Canadians from Vancouver to Ottawa and said, if you believe what we're doing is important, if this is an issue that is of importance to you and you want your member of parliament to come speak to me in Ottawa, then write him a letter, and that's what they did. So we got this meeting. And we worked towards that, and I'll get to that. We still are working towards having more meetings with our members of parliament. Again, this is what the Canadian public needs to see. So, June 30th, we marched into Ottawa, thousands of people. It was a celebration of the end of the march, but not an end to the protest as such. We took a couple of weeks and we made an assessment of the situation in the country at the time. There was still a requirement to get armed forces members back to work those who had been wrongly let go, and have their 5F releases, this kind of, for lack of a better term, even though it's an American terminology, a dishonorable discharge, have it overturned and give them the opportunity to go back to work, just like all of the other federal government sectors. So, um, this is something we decided needed to happen, and on July the 18th, we decided to resume the march from St. John's, Newfoundland. All right. With, hey, can you give me a water? We decided to resume the march from St. John's, Newfoundland back towards Ontario, basically.
Right.
And in the meantime, we're going to continue to reach out to our representatives in the halls of power. And I'll just quickly speak to that because since we started, we have maintained contact. And over the summer, not that I was expecting a lot to happen, but we maintained contact with officials and members of parliament. And what we saw over the summer was, pretty much across the board, wholesale disengagement of just about everything. And I'm talking about, people in general. It's time for folks to go out and, enjoy the summer, spend time with their families. There had been some lifting of these restrictions, which is one of the reasons why we continue to march, because we know that they are only lifted, not removed. However, there was not a lot of responses, and then the responses we did get were rather vague and non-committal. We had attempted at the beginning to bring the issue to the attention of the Department of National Defense Ombudsman, who is continuing to do nothing about the situation. And there was an actual article released about a conversation I had with a reporter. He was looking for my comment on the Ombudsman declaration that thus far there had only been, 10 letters sent to his office with regards to the application of these mandates. And what happens in these articles is that they always speak to political issues to the actual root of the matter. So the fact that the Ombudsman is going to continue to do nothing is of no surprise to anyone. So he has maintained his disinterest in speaking out on behalf of armed forces members who have been negatively impacted by these policies. And in true to form, they are going to adhere to policies and procedures that need to be observed in full before they will engage, which is the exact opposite of the way this policy was implemented in the first place, if you understand what I'm saying. In the space of 3 months, from August to November, the Chief of Defense Staff thought that it was entirely okay to mandate that everybody in the armed forces participate in this rollout of an experimental product without any sort of oversight, safety oversight, without any sort of input from any other medical community that had experienced different things, including the American Army Air Force, by the way, which does not require their pilots to take the vaccine any longer. And this is what we're seeing. This is the unfairness of the situation. This is the things that we continue to protest about going forward. To that end, we have been marching now for over 6,000 kilometers. We have gotten to Woodstock, just past Woodstock, New Brunswick, as of this morning. The efforts to maintain and continue to have communication with our members of parliament and our officials, it goes on. I have just sent a letter to the Minister of National Defense, Anita Anand, asking for her participation in a conversation of some sort to bring to light the issues that are not being talked about in the wider public spaces in the corporate media because they are absolutely not. Um, they paint a different picture to the reality of what we're told on a daily basis. There has been a significant amount of suffering by our members in the armed forces since the application of this policy. People being forced out, early retirements, moves. The members have their families to consider. You're talking about discrimination happening in the armed forces by chains of command against their own members. You have vaccine injury, unacknowledged. You have reclassification of medical categories so they don't look as bad, such as when you have an air crew, a member of an air crew that is permanently grounded and unable to fly in an aircraft any longer because he has a heart condition or other neurological issue. That is no longer called permanent grounding. That is called temporary category. So you have this shell game going on at administrative and bureaucratic levels to make this thing appear that it is something that it isn't. And what it isn't is a safe and effective product. Now, this is what we continue to do. This is what we continue to reach out to our officials for. This is why we would like to have a conversation with our Minister of National Defense to bring to light these issues. How many people have been released or are continuing to release from our armed forces for these reasons, for this heavy-handed, one-size-fits-all approach to health and security and safety, when at the same time you are actually causing the armed forces to be hollowed out from the inside. This is the conversation we want to have. This is something that needs to be addressed for the good of the members of the armed forces at an individual level, but more importantly at an operational level. What are we able to do with our armed forces domestically and internationally? And what are we not able to do now that the damage has been done with highly trained members of the armed forces choosing release? And you're talking about, a pilot, a special forces operator, a technician, somebody who takes years to train, millions of dollars of investment, and they're gone. They're not available to the organization anymore because of this policy. So this is what we continue to do: is public education, it's rights awareness, it's being made clear to me that we have a captured media that will only report on what it's told to report on. There is no conscience in the corporate media. This is what I'm observing, and furthermore, the challenge is going to be getting um, that buy-in from the public, the Canadian public, to demand from their officials, from their politicians, that they be listened to. So this is one of the reasons why we continue to do this, and this is why we are continuing to go and have these meet and greets, send these letters, go to all this trouble. This is entirely crowdfunded. Nobody's making money out of this. We bring in donations and we sell T-shirts. And at the end of the day, we think that it's important to keep doing this because so many people have come to us and said this means a lot and we're rooting for you, even though they're not the voices that you hear.
James,
Yeah, go ahead.
can I just interrupt you for 1 second there? I want to make sure that I definitely cover this because it's very important. You have a whole crew there with you on the ground. If somebody wants to make a donation to the cause, where's the best place for them to do so?
Well, we have a couple of mechanisms now if people want to do that. Um, you know, Folks will sometimes drive up and drop off a couple of bucks. We have the website where there's a donate, or you can purchase merch on the website. We have meet and greets where you can direct donate. And also, now is as good a time as any to talk about our Give, Send, Go fund, because we did start one up to address the issue of defamation and character assassination going on within the corporate media. On August the 18th, there was a very clear and egregious example of that by Global News about myself and a couple of other people, blatant name calling, and really, it's the inciting of negative emotion in people that is the most concerning with these articles. Um, they So sorry to get off track because I'm going somewhere with this. The article and such is so severe that we felt that we needed to push back with some kind of legal action, and so we started up a Give Send Go to fund a legal action against global news. So this is one of the other mechanisms that you can use if you wish to donate at Give Send Go. Canada marches, um, and then we are going to take any excess funds and redistribute them to veterans organizations such as Veterans Farmers, um, Real Canadian Recreation, and RAS Veterans Retreat that we spent a couple of nights at, where it's just this is places where vets can go out in the country, unwind, relax, be around other folks that have had similar experiences, and they're free to talk and just be away from it all with their families and so, with people who have had similar experiences. So that's kind of the way that you can contribute, if you will.
Yeah, and I just want to go ahead and say I think it's really important work that you guys are actually going to go the distance and go the right legal measures ways about this, because they've been getting along with this too far with the gaslighting and the name calling, and we're getting to a point now where they're ruining people's lives permanently. And I'm not going to get too far off topic with you, but I have a few friends who have had to flee the country now based solely on the fact of the articles and lies that mainstream media has put out there. They were no longer safe to live in Canada, and that's very unfortunate to see. So I really thank you for going the distance and actually taking on the media, because we need to hold them accountable for their actions.
Yeah, and you know what? It doesn't take as much effort as you think. If enough people start engaging with these organizations, like folks forget the fact, and this is one of the things that we're doing on this journey, is we're pointing out to people that you have um, certain power as a citizen, as a taxpayer, as a voter, and as a consumer. So when these organizations are doing this, when they are called out on it, they will typically backpedal because at the end of the day, they operate on profit. They want revenue. If they're going to lose viewership, they're going to change their tune, and that's what people need to start doing. They need to start calling out these organizations and saying, "I refuse to consume your product, and I'm going to recommend to my friends that they also refuse to consume your product." That means I will not visit your website. I will not buy your magazine. I will not, in any way, shape, or form, renew any sort of subscriptions. And it goes on like this, including up to such actions as if there is an advertiser on your platform, I will also make sure that I choose another product. And people, I think, forget that they have the power to do that. Still with
Absolutely.
me?
What else did I want to ask you here? Okay, so currently now we know, James, they can just turn it off and on like a light switch. We've seen it done, and we know they can do that whenever they want. But where are we at this current point right now? Children, are they able to be a part of the Air Cadets or the Army Cadets if they haven't gotten the vaccination?
Where are you asking me that?
Yeah, I'm just asking. I don't know if
I,
you know.
I don't actually know.
You don't
I
actually
don't
know.
actually know. This is
Yeah, that's a little beyond what you're doing, anyways. I just thought you might know, so I thought I would hit you with it.
all
Um,
I would say is that if there was some noise made a while back about the armed forces repealing or rescinding the vaccination requirement, as of yet, nothing official has come out about that. And I encourage everybody to engage with their officials and their members of parliament and whomever else, even at the provincial level, if it's something that they're demanding of their, um, if it's something they're demanding of, you put that in there. Sorry, we're just getting ready to go
that's
here.
okay. You take I got all the time in the world for you. You take as much time as
You
you want.
know, we don't, folks don't have to put up with that stuff. This is what I think they need to recognize. We live in a country where we shouldn't be afraid of of our own government, and this is increasing. This is what I'm seeing. folks are afraid of their government, and um, this is not what we are serving for.
That's right. How are you finding the support from active members of the Canadian Armed Forces? Are you having people reach out to you and talk to you, thank you for what you're doing and the awareness you're bringing around all this?
Well, as of right now, it's limited because, and again, this is a symptom of the age we're living in, as a demonstration of just how far we've fallen as a free country. You have, because I'm doing what I'm doing, um, in protesting and speaking out about something that I thought was wrong. Um, they are being told to stay away from me. They are threatened with charges under the National Defense Act if they're caught speaking to me. They're not allowed to support me. They are not allowed to, make comments on the Canada Marches Facebook page. If they are, they also will be charged. So this is how bad it is. And I think anybody who thinks that this is not happening and I'm making this up, then give your local base commander a call and get some answers. You can do this. You're a citizen, and furthermore, you're the one paying for the armed forces. Anything that happens in that organization is something that you should be made aware of because, again, it funded through taxpayer dollars. So this is the issue with the armed forces and where I fall in it. I've been deemed this nefarious character because of the fact that I think the troops should have the ability to choose whether or not they want to consume a experimental product.
Yeah, it seems like they've done a really good job trying to demoralize you, but it's really hard for them to do that because your actions speak a lot louder than their words, and you continue to stand in the truth with morals and respect, and you continue to show them that you're absolutely nothing. The way they try to paint this picture, it just doesn't exist. But we're pretty.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
it's unfortunate, but I do think that the dog whistle mechanisms that are being used are kind of losing their effectiveness now. And again, there are a number of things happening in the world and the country that are drawing attention to the fact that these policies were in fact harmful and have been all along. And I think folks are, potentially ready to entertain that. But what it's going to take is for them, to understand that it's not going to be any leader of any party. It's not going to be me that saves everybody else. It's going to be them acting and them standing up for themselves and understanding what it needs to be done to be engaged as a citizen. There's a little bit of effort that have to be put in to educating yourself on how the system works. And I'm not castigating anybody or chastising or criticizing because I did it. I ignored the system itself. I wasn't interested in politics. I thought it would be what it is, and this is probably one of the reasons why we're here where we're at, because not enough folks participated in a meaningful way. So, not to mention the fact that the politics and the people in it are not always the most moral people. However, they are in there, and we just got to find them, and they're the ones we got to support. And that's what they need to see from us, and that's what we need to do to make changes.
I agree. How are you feeling right now? This is a lot, James. Every day you're pretty committed to this. How are you feeling mentally and physically?
Yeah, it's kind of a sine wave. The method that we've been using is the application of basically army discipline, and I'm not talking about yelling and screaming at each other. It's recognizing that there needs to be a procedure, like there needs to be a method. So on a typical day, we'll get up at around 6 or 6:30, have some breakfast, move out to our start point location, start marching at around 8. Breaks every hour or so for 5 to 10 minutes, half hour for lunch, carry on in the afternoon till about 5 or 6 in the evening. So we do this for about 5 days, and then we take an administrative day, and it goes on like this. And actually, today is a day 188. After a while, you develop conditioning, and your body adapts, which is something that is unfortunate that anybody observing this, you're missing a hell of a study here. So if you're if you're in a kinesiology department or a sports um, department in a university, I've just put it out there. So the thing is, what you're missing, what you have happen is conditioning over time, and it does take, however, its physical, psychological toll. And some days you're more up than others, and some days it's a real grind. I will say that because of the efforts that the team has put in making sure that me personally am well looked after with food, with rest. They're scheduling the rest stops on the way. Again, speaks to the efforts of the team as a whole. Um, this is one of the reasons why we've been able to maintain this for so long and go so far. So, but again, we have our ups and downs. Today is a bit of a less of a grind. Um,
I can tell that.
does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. Thank you. The first time me and you jumped on an interview, I can tell it's been a big difference. I mean, things were great then, but the support that you've garnished has grown big time. And I know you got some great company with you, like Tom Murphy and Jake Christian, and I'm sure there's a few others that I haven't met yet, and that I'm not saying their names. Just what's it like to have that support circle and all those people there with you grow?
Oh well, I've said it before, and I'll keep saying it. This would not have been successful without them. Um, there was a time early on when I thought this was going to be a one-man show, and I thought I would probably be able to do it. I still think I could have, but I still think had I tried to do this alone, I would still be back in BC, in the mountains somewhere. So you know what I mean? Like, um, it was through this team effort with the like we had just stopped back there. I got guys had set up a rest point for us, and I did this. This would not have gone as far away, and further, I will add, it's guys like Christian working in the background getting the interviews, which make this visible to us to people, because if he wasn't doing that, then we wouldn't have like nobody would know what we're doing. Also, I have a number of volunteers helping us online, manage the Facebook, the Twitter, the Instagram, the website. We had John was with us. He's managing the website. He actually came out, take pictures for a few days. There's so much happening in the background. Tom Murphy's wife is out here setting us up in people's houses, or getting us a motel if we need to. That goes on every day. It's just been so much happens behind the scenes that folks aren't aware of. And this is again, if it hadn't been for their participation and their effort, they're the ones too managing the merch shop online, getting the T-shirts sent out, and all that other stuff. So this is definitely, you know, again, the tragedy here is that this isn't widely known. This isn't more widely reported on in the story that has come out of this since February the 19th, basically, and the small group of people who came together to push back on these kind of government overreach, and then have been together. Well, we're coming up on 7 months now, right? And not being paid either, by the way.
James, I have someone on here asking a question. I think I should ask you. They said, "Hey, can you
Yeah.
ask Top? Can you ask Top if he has any meet and greets near the north of NB, like Campbellton or something like that?"
Yeah, we got one coming up in Drummond. Um, the exact information should be up on the website and the social media, but it's in Drummond and it's tomorrow night, starting
Yeah.
at 6:30 p.m.
So yeah, obviously James is walking right now, guys. He doesn't have everything on the back of his hand, but if you go to CanadaMarches.com, you can find all the information that you need.
.ca. It's .ca.
Oh, sorry, CanadaMarches.ca. So that's a good spot to go to get all the information you need there. So on a typical day, how long are you walking now, James?
Yeah, about 9-10 hours.
9-10 hours. And you'll stop for lunch and a snack, or?
Oh yeah. It's vital to this going forward, especially over the long term. So yeah, we'll stop for.
Now, we talked about your meeting in Ottawa with some politicians there. I just wanted to ask, after you had that meeting, has there been much of a relationship? Like, have people still been trying to connect with you, or does it feel like we're trying to connect with them is more, or like, do they seem interested?
Well, like I said, what we have happening in this country is um, politicians and politics and the people in it. So it's important to understand this, that I had like a number of people the same kind of ideas and judgments about the whole politicians and politics. There's just you paint them all with the same brush, just like you would paint like an organization like everybody in the army with the same brush potentially. But then I came to realize that there's all kinds of different people in that. The ones that I did meet and the ones that I spoke to on the phone are very well-intentioned, hardworking, and honest people. The ones that I maintain contact with, at any rate, they work in a system that is blowing to the winds and subject to the vagaries of power of party politics. So, what is I see happening is that the needs of the public are taking a back seat to the power struggles going on within the party itself, and more so, this I think is part of the problem in that, in general, the even the courageous voices, in either, no matter what party you're in, they're just drowned out and ignored, just like we have been. So they're out there. It's hard to find them sometimes. We have, because of that meeting, made contact with them. But again, it was what I saw over the summer was, disengagement because they had their summer recess, people on break, they're going back to their constituencies, they have other business, just like everybody does. So there wasn't a lot of meaningful communication going on there. However, the one that I did meet, I have maintained contact with them. They have responded and saying we do support you in your future efforts. So,
Well, that's good to hear. I'm glad to hear that.
that is something that came out of the meeting for sure. Now, again, in case it's not perfectly clear to everybody, we didn't expect to come out of that meeting and have 24 of the members of parliament that chose to meet with us, um, out of the 338 letters that we sent, we didn't expect them to just turn around, flick a switch, and everything was going to go back to 2019, right? And I tried to manage people's expectations with that. The main thing that I think they need to understand is those members of parliament, once again, they listened to what their constituents were saying to them. And how do I know this? Because the members of parliament told me that. They had been in contact with all these people in the various towns, and municipalities and communities in and around, Saskatchewan, for example. This is what I was hearing. So many people were reaching out to that office saying, go and meet with this person while he's in Ottawa and while you're in Ottawa. That is the main touch point here. The system is currently not functioning like it should. But if enough people become engaged and throw a little pebble and make it just a little bit of a ripple, then we're going to have some waves.
Yeah, I agree. Everyone has to put a little bit of their own effort in. So if I'm someone sitting at home right now and I just watched this interview with you and I'm saying to myself, I want to do something to help James Topp. What can I do? I guess follow the channels. You can go on to Canada Marches.
Well, yeah, I can give you like 5 things you can do right here and now while you're sitting at your computer. Okay,
all right,
ready?
We're all yours.
So go on to the Canada Marches website. Check it out. Listen to a few interviews. Watch a few videos. Is it something you think that you want to support? I'm not here to tell anybody what to think or how to think it. I'm just there to try to bring about the realization that they can do that for themselves. And then if they think it's something they want to support, look at the issue at hand. What's the issue at hand? We have an armed forces hollowing itself out from the inside. Nobody's going to address that fact. You have federal government workers that have been harmed. You have corporate and private sector workers that have not been invited back to work. And because of what? Because they pushed back or felt that it wasn't in their best interest, for whatever reason, not to participate in an overbearing government policy. This is the issue. What am I doing? I'm speaking out about that, and I'm speaking out on behalf of everybody. So if you think that's something you want to support, then learn how our system works, figure out what you can do to empower yourself, and one of those things that you can do is you can reach out to your member of parliament and say that I am a concerned citizen. I am living here. I do not think these policies are correct. Here's why. And furthermore, I support this person and this initiative. That's one of the things that you can do. Well, that's actually 4 or 5 things. So there's that.
Yeah, thanks for that, James. So I guess I'll end this with one more thing. You might not have the timeline right in front of you, but myself being from Southern Ontario in the, Toronto, Niagara area, do you know when exactly we could expect to see you and the crew coming through around Toronto-ish area and that?
Yeah, probably near the end of October.
Okay, that's good to know. So we'll all be ready.
Early November.
I think you missed that
Hello?
part. I said we'll all be ready
Yeah.
for you. I've been going to the gym and I plan on doing a couple days with you. So.
Okay.
All right. Well, we'll end it at that. And thanks again for coming on here. I love you. I love the whole crew. I hope you guys keep together, keep doing what you're doing. I know you will. And, you're walking with the whole country on your back, brother.
Yeah.
Really
Okay, sometimes it feels like it.
All right. You have a good day, guys. Please tell everyone.
Okay, thank you. And hey, thank you for what you're doing, and thank you for having us on the show and giving us the opportunity.
Anytime. Please tell Christian, Jake, Tom's wife, everyone I said hello.
Okay, will do.
Okay. God bless. Bye now.
Take care.